Hey guys, it's Adam here from Peddling Pizza. I'm back here today in the Gozney kitchen. We're here to shoot a video about how I make my pizza from start to finish. So we're gonna make some dough, ball the dough, we teach you how to make the sauce, cut the cheese, stretch a base, top a pizza, bake a pizza, and eat a pizza. So here are what I feel is the essentials to make great pizza with Roccbox. You've got the oven, that's awesome. You got the peel, professional grade peel. You're gonna need some form of box, like a dough tray or any kind of like flat level box, preferably with a sealable lid. A spatula for getting that dough out of the tray. Also for separating when you're making your dough balls and rolling them, you need to separate that dough. Some precision scales for not only weighing your yeast, you want something that can weigh at least like 0.5 gram. And lastly, a turning peel. What it allows you to do is to lift the pizza up from the floor of the oven, rotate it in the oven, so you're reducing your bake time and you're reducing the contact that it has with the floor if you're running a hot floor, for example. Also keeps your peel nice and clean. Okay, cool, so let's make some dough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our 600 grams or milliliters of cold tap water. I'm gonna put it straight into the bowl. And then we're gonna take our pea-sized amount of fresh yeast. It's like I say, it's 1 gram. And we're just gonna dissolve that in. What we don't wanna do is we don't wanna sort of let the salt and yeast come into direct contact. It can affect the fermentation. And then we're gonna start to incorporate our flour. So we've got 1 kilo of flour. And we're just going to pour a little bit in at a time. I'm just going to start to mix it around with my fingers. Keep mixing, adding a little bit at a time. You just want to keep trying to incorporate it, push it together. And then at this point, I'm just going to add the salt. And you see it's all coming together in like one nice mass now. We're pretty much ready. We're just going to pour it out onto the work surface. And we're going to start to sort of fold it all together. This will take about 10 minutes. You see it's starting to come away clean now. This dough, like I say, is a 60% hydration. It's kind of classic Neapolitan. It's normally about 58 to 60. Folding it over, bringing it back, folding it over. You can even, you can tear it up a little bit. This will make you about a good 7 dough balls, Roccbox size ones. I weigh mine out for about 230, 240 grams. It's always good to make a kilo batch, I find. Freezes really well, even if you're only gonna have 2 pizzas on a Friday night. Wicked, right. You know what, I'm happy with that. I say this isn't a massively hydrated dough. It's not gonna feel too sticky. It's gonna be easy to manage. Leave this dough ball for 5 minutes, like this, and we're just gonna let that relax. We're gonna let the flour take on the water, we're gonna let it hydrate, and just let it chill for 5 minutes. So I'm gonna cover it, and we'll come back to it in 5 minutes' time. Okay, cool. So we've given our dough 5-10 minutes rest, just to let it hydrate. Just gonna fold it over a couple of times, and you're gonna notice it's gonna have smoothed out a little bit. So I'm just gonna tuck it under, nice smooth ball, and that's it. See, it's got a nice little spring to it. You see I'm putting my fingers in it and it's popping back up. We're gonna stick this into a container and we're gonna cover it with clean film. And we're gonna see that in about an hour for balling up. Okay, so we're onto the tomato sauce, our base for our pizzas. What I use and what I've got here is a whole large tin of DOP San Marzano tomatoes. You can use any whole plum tomato you can get hold of in a supermarket, online store, anywhere. You notice here you've got a little bit of excess liquid in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the lid on. I'm going to get them, I'm going to hold on to it, be careful with your fingers. Just squeeze down, just get rid of some of this excess liquid. Just going to take a large teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of salt. Now at this point, you can hand crush, but like I say, we're going to use a stick blender. You just want to go really careful. One tomato at a time, short, sharp bursts. Don't just go for it hell for leather because you're gonna make it go too watery. So you just breaking it up, 1 tomato at a time. Whatever you do, don't stick it in an actual blender. You're just trying to like break up the tomato. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's still a little bit chunky. It's quite authentic. So what we're going to do, we're going to just set that to one side. We're going to come back to that. I'm going to leave it in this tomato tin. We're going to use it straight from this later when we make pizza. So now it's cheese. This is a 300 gram Fior di Latte mozzarella ball. It's similar to what you'd buy in the supermarket. You get the little balls in the bags in the water. Basically what I do is I cut each one in half. I'm then just going to slice down in kind of like thin strips. and I'm just gonna go through it. Little julienne strips. Doesn't matter if it's not, you know, all the same. When you put it on a pizza, I normally go like a good handful. So it's about 60 to 80 grams of cheese per pizza, depending on the size, but leave your cheese out for a little bit, for a while, an hour or two. That's best, and it will just melt better on your pizza. Okay, cool. So our dough's had about an hour now just to rest and relax, and we're ready to ball it up. And it's nice and soft now. It's kind of relaxed. So we're just gonna scoop the dough mass out, try and get it out in one big ball. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut like a little snake out. So we've got this snake of dough. You want it to be about the size of the dough ball, tucking like this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my hand like that, and I'm gonna squeeze. Actually, I think that's probably gonna be about 250 grams. So I'm just gonna pull it off. And there, you've basically got a dough ball. 238, that'll do. So what I do now, I've got this dough ball, you just want to seal it up. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pinch and fold. And you see this? I'm just going to be working it. So I'm just kind of closing the bottom up and just going to close it up like that. You can stick it down, you can give it a little roll like that if you like. That one's done, stick it in there. At this point, you can actually freeze this. Essentially, this is what you're left with. You've got your dough balls. You want to make sure they've got enough room. They're going to spread out. You're going to leave them in here for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Anytime after about 5 hours, leave them at room temperature, at 18 to 20 degrees, and these are going to be ready to make pizza. Okay, so we're ready to make pizza. Oven's on. We've got it running at about 400 degrees on the stone. That's kind of the perfect temperature to make Napoli-style pizza with a Roccbox. It means that top stone temp is probably going to be about 430-ish. Our dough is ready to go. If you have a look at this, it's been fermenting now for about 6 hours in dough balls. You see it's nicely relaxed. It's you know, it's spread out. It's touching the other dough balls. So I'm going to take a dough ball out, put a little bit of flour in the middle there, and turn it upside down. So try and shimmy it so it's in a circle. Using the fingers, these 3 on each hand, you're going to push like that, and I'm going to leave this like 1/2 inch edge. And at this point, what I do is I just flip it over. I do what's called the slap. So I put one hand here, not touching this. I put my fingers under, I flip it over like that. And at this point, what I'm also doing is I'm twisting it. So I'm twisting it and slapping it down. So twist, slap, and there you go. You've got a nice base ready to go. You're gonna take some sauce, working your way out from the middle. You're gonna go all the way around. Then gonna get some basil, a little bit of Parmigiano, and then our fior di latte cheese that we sliced up earlier. Good handful, remember? And we're going to get our olive oil. We're going to slide it onto the peel. You can just scoop underneath if you can do that like that, but I prefer to slide it on. So what you want a clean surface, clean peel. You can dust it a little bit like that, just to make sure it's not like, you know, if it's got any moisture spots on it, you don't want that. You want a nice, clean, dry peel. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to get my fingers dry again, put a little bit of flour on them. Just going to get underneath like that. And I'm just going to, one movement, just slide it straight onto the peel. At this point, you're just going to rejig it. So yeah, we're ready to go in the oven. And I've got a new Gozney peel that I'm going to use. You can see the pizza's puffing up at the back, ready for a turn. I'm just going to get underneath it, just going to break that seal. And you see I'm just pulling it towards me and pushing it back in. So there you go, checking the underside. See the underside, it's baking nicely. Ready for another turn, so just get underneath it, let it grip that right hand edge, pull it out, put it back in. Use this thing one-handed if you want, just sort of like this. Just going to lift it up, present it to the flame. One Napoli-style margherita pizza, done. Let's slice it. Here we go. Okay, done.